Hey guys, Ronnie from Ron Man's Fishing, and welcome to ChatterBait Fishing Part 2. I reviewed my video that I posted last week about chatterbait fishing, and I was not satisfied. I just kind of threw it together. Like y'all seen, I posted it on a Monday instead of a Friday. I was just in a rush. I had a lot going on at the time, so today we're going to slow it down and we're actually going to talk about chatterbait fishing, and we're going to go in depth. We're going to go over the actual baits, the colors, the line, the rod, the reel, the whole deal. And if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I got a little hack that will save you money. Stay tuned. All right, well, let's start with talking about the chatterbait itself, or bladed jig. The chatterbait is basically a jig with a blade on it, hence the name bladed jig. This blade, as it goes through the water, it creates vibration, it creates noise to attract your bass. And it does a really good job of that. You want to use these baits. I use them most on days like today where there's an overcast, the water's a little stained, it's windy. Now, you don't have to necessarily use it in stained water. It works well in clear water too. Trust me, it works really, really, really well. But today my conditions, like I said, is overcast. We got some weather coming in this afternoon. The water is just murky. So I'm out here fishing with my chatterbait. This is perfect conditions for it. Now, let's go over the colors. All right, today, like I said, you've heard what the weather is, so I'm using a darker color. I'm using a blue chatterbait, blue and black chatterbait with a blue and black crawl. Now, this works well in murky water because it's dark. It has a great silhouette. Bass can see it, and they want to gobble it up. You can take and you can fish it with the crawl straight, like I have mine, or you can turn your crawl sideways and have it swim like that to imitate a bluegill. And both ways work really, really, really well. Now let's go over some other colors. Like today, also in this cloudy water, one quick thing I forgot to mention about the blue and black chatterbait. You notice the color of that? It's not silver, it's gunmetal gray. I'm using that in these conditions. It has a little bit more reflect underwater, but not too much. So we're trying that out. I've had a couple of bites so far, but I wanted to sit down and take time to make this video. So here we go. Now, this is another color I intend on using today. Chartreuse, white, with a little yellow, and a Zoom Super Fluke Junior in the smoking shad color. That is a little bit more natural looking in the water. But yet it has that high visibility in that murky water, and it's got a gold blade to reflect a little bit more light, a little bit more flash as it's coming through the water. Now these baits are kind of like spinner baits. You want the light to reflect off your blades. You want your blades to move. You want them to make noise to attract the fish, and that's how they work. Now, another color I intend on using today is the sexy shad color with a little bit of gray, one chartreuse line, white on the back, and a Zoom Super Fluke, just Zoom Super Fluke with the fork tail instead of the paddle tail. A little bit more natural looking. And this one has a silver blade. That might be a little bit better in these conditions. Won't reflect quite as much light as the gold, but it still imitates a bait fish. You know, when they flash, it's that silverish color, so it imitates a bait fish pretty well. Now, in clear water, I like to go a little bit more natural. So I use the Z-Man Big Blade, gold blade in the bluegill color. Isn't that pretty? And for a trailer, I use a pumpkin, green pumpkin and red flake cut off Gary Yamamoto Speed Cinco. These work really well in the water. But this is for more of a clear water day where the bass are eating bluegill, which we all do. So throw this in clearer water. Now let's talk about line. I use Berkeley Trilene Big Game 50-pound braid. I absolutely do not use fluorocarbon. I do not like fluorocarbon. I don't use it on any bait I fish. I use the same 50-pound test braid. Now, there's a lot of people out there going, well, the fish can see the line. That's just absolutely not true. Get it in the green color like I have here. It blends into that water really well. The fish are not going to see it because you got to remember one thing. When you're chatterbait fishing, you're looking for that reaction strike. That's what chatterbait fishing is all about. And I haven't met a bass one that's been in the reaction mode to take a bait and go, ooh, look, there's line there. They just simply don't do it. They're going to eat it. They're going to gobble it up. Now, if you want to, if you're not really sold on the 50-pound braid, use a 20-pound braid, use a 10-pound braid, your choice, but I recommend braid. And there's another reason why I use braid. We all know braid floats. So if you want to fish this bait off the bottom with braid, you cast it out there and you watch that line. As that bait's going down, that line will sink. When it stops, you know your bait is on the bottom. Then, like I said, you give it that quick jerk to jump it up 2.5 feet off the bottom and real slow. That's for fishing off the bottom. Fishing off the water column, you cast it out there, you let it sink just a little bit, and you just reel it in like you would a crankbait. And that works pretty well too. Now we're going to talk about the rod. Since I'm using such a heavy pound test line that does not stretch, braid does not stretch like monofilament or fluorocarbon, I use a 6'6" or 7-foot medium action rod with a fast tip. What this allows me to do is it allows me to set my hook and it gives me some give. Where the line don't give me some give, my rod gives me that give as if I'm using fluorocarbon or monofilament. And that allows me to get more hook sets without ripping it out of the fish's mouth. Every fish that bites my chatterbait, I bring in. Now, I know I don't have a lot of videos of me actually fishing. That's yet to come. I'm waiting on my equipment. I don't have it as of right now. I'm just starting out on this YouTube channel. I'm doing everything with my phone thus far. So I don't have a GoPro and I don't have a camera that I can set up on a tripod to videotape me fishing. That's yet to come. When my equipment gets here, I hope it gets here by fall, because everybody knows in the fall, the fishing is just absolutely at its best. Fish are feeding up to get ready for winter, and they will bite at absolutely anything. So hopefully by fall, I'll have those cameras and I can get those videos of me actually fishing on there. But for now, it's just going to be a lot of me talking and tutorials. All right, now that we've gone over the rod, let's go over the reel. Everybody out there is like, with chatterbait, you need a 711. You need a 721. That's just simply not the case. You need to worry more about your IPT, inches per turn, more than your gear ratio. Me personally, my favorite reel, the reel I use for all my fishing, is a 641 bait casting reel. Let's see if we can get that on camera for you, the gear ratio. It is, turn it this way. Oh, there we go. Put the handle down some. I don't know if you can see that or not, but 641 gear ratio. Absolute absolutely just the perfect reel. If you want to fish it off the bottom where you're fishing slow, you can fish slow. You want to fish it in the middle water column, you reel it faster. You want to fish it on the surface. Crankbaits even work on the surface. You reel them really fast and you keep them right up at the top. You can do that with a 641. You don't necessarily need a 711 or a 721. Now, if you like those, by all means, use them. They will work. But like I said, your gear ratio is not what you need to worry about. It's your IPT. And my IPT is like 2 per turn, 2 inches per turn. So that's a good ratio. I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look it up to get the exact measurements. I'll get back to y'all on that. But I think it's like 2 inches per turn. Other than that, chatterbait fishing is fun. It's, like I said, it's a reaction bite. The bass just absolutely explode on the bait. And I think you'll have a lot of good time fishing the chatterbait. It's won a lot of tournaments. And I got a little trick for y'all to save y'all money on soft plastics. What I do when I am attaching my soft plastics is before I slide my bait all the way to the base, before I get there, I stop about right here. I make sure all of my skirt is pointed down. And I use just a drop, just a small drop of super glue. Then I slide it to the base. That bait will not come off when you're going through heavy cover. When you catch a fish, it won't come off. And a lot of people are thinking, well, it's going to be hard to get off when I want to change my soft plastic, when my soft plastic will worn out. That's absolutely not the case. You just rip it off. If it leaves any of the soft plastic on there, you take your knife and you just scrape it off. It will not damage your bait. As long as you leave your skirt down where the super glue does not get in the skirt, hold your bait sideways and put just the tiniest little drop. It will hold it on there and you will save money on your soft plastic leaders. Well, that's it for the day, folks. I hope we covered it more in depth for you. We hope you learned a lot more about chatterbait fishing, and we hope you get out there and you try chatterbait fishing if you haven't already. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and this is Ron Man from Ron Man's Fishing. Y'all have a good day.